Hello and welcome to this latest edition of GreenStuffWorld's team tutorials. Today we're going to take a very quick look at how we create a fantasy base scheme, and you can see here we have a base which is built very simply out of pieces of old slate and some cork husk and mounted on a GreenStuffWorld plinth. This has been Zenithal highlighted with a white rattle can over black. We're going to be using the new GreenStuffWorld Acrylic inks today to create a really nice, rich purple and pink scheme. So first things first, in the new GreenStuffWorld Acrylic ink range, we're taking the Opaque OSL white and a small brush, and we're very gently moving across the surface texture on the old slate, and we're mapping out very roughly the edges and the texture marks. You can see we're very carefully here just touching with some of this strong white over the zenithal. This is going to give us an area where when we apply the GreenStuffWorld transparent inks, where the white is will give us the brightest area. Just very carefully adding small surface textures, little imperfections, and really allowing the slate to guide us where to go. Nice and easy. Once we've got this laid in there, we're going to move on to starting to add our first layers of colour. There we go. There's quite a bit more work that occurs here. There we go. So onto the airbrush, running at about 24 psi. And this is GreenStuffWorld Transparent Magenta. This is an ink, acrylic ink. And we thin this down about 4:1 with some acrylic thinner. Very gently going to apply this to all the surfaces on the base. And you'll see as this starts to softly apply and then dry, this is very much transparent. So all those little marks and scratches and imperfections and the contours that we've applied with the OSL white will start to show through. This is simply our first layer of colour, so we've got a nice base tone. Nice and gentle, no need to rush. There we go. You can see the richness in this ink, even though it's transparent. Okay, so we're going to pick the OSL white back up again, the GreenStuffWorld OSL white, and we're going to very gently catch the gravel that's around the outside, which is actually GreenStuffWorld sand in the large substrate. We're just going to catch those very sharp top surfaces very gently, and that allows us now to achieve some more impact with the next layer. And now GreenStuffWorld transparent ink again, this time it's purple. And this is thinned down 4:1 again with some acrylic thinner. Very gently now moving around and applying a nice soft dusting on top of those areas that we've just caught with the brush, and also importantly at the base of these slates to give some contrast in tone, and also in some of the crevices in between. So we're starting to lay this over the top. There we go. Now this is interesting. Moving on now to recreating some surface texture. This is a GreenStuffWorld weathering stick, which is a plastic stick with sponge inside. And I've dabbed some of the OSL white onto it and then very simply removed it on a tissue so the excess is missing. And you can see now I'm rotating that sponge so we don't get any patterns, no repetitive patterns. And I'm very simply just dabbing across the surfaces and on the edges to create another texture layer. This is quite important, this, because the next stage you're going to add a filter, and that filter will catch in its highest points exactly where you're adding this texture now. So this is a really important step to make sure that you've got that filtration of colour happening. Okay, so we're moving along quite quickly here. This is now the original GreenStuffWorld transparent ink in magenta, and it's mixed 50-50 with transparent ink in orange. Now, orange might seem quite an unusual colour to use on a pink and magenta base, but you'll see how this starts to work for us. That orange brings some warmth to the top layers. And now if you can see, I'm being quite precise, but I'm adding this to the areas where we've reapplied that texture with a sponge. And this gives us a really fast tonal variation and really adds some depth and some richness with that orange. There we go. Now we've got some GreenStuffWorld, very simple PVA glue and an old synthetic brush. Now we're dabbing some PVA glue which has been thinned down very slightly with water, only a touch of water. We're dabbing that over the foliage we've got there, which is the cork husk. We're just getting some blobs on there, because what we're going to do now is we're going to use a very simple technique of lifting some of the pink GreenStuffWorld tree brush that we've got there. You can see I'm lifting it with a little bit of glue that's left on the brush, and I'm dropping it onto that PVA, and this gives a really fast effect because this gives the illusion of blossom or flowers, which are indeed growing on that organic material. Really easy way of getting a very, very realistic effect. Now of course when the PVA dries, the GreenStuffWorld PVA is super high quality, it's a great bond, but also it'll dry clear. So anything you can see that's white at the moment will dry clear. Be quite selective, make sure that you're touching all the areas. There we go. Really fast, really easy, really high impact. I hope you enjoy. I'll see you again very soon. Thanks all.